Hello my friends, today we're going to be hovering around 12 different rivers waiting for pearls to come floating down and get the right ones to put on alpacas and bring them to villagers. Today we're taking a look at 12 rivers. This is sort of a marble collection game. This is from Good Games Publishing. Let me show you how it works. I'll see you on the other side. Before I get to the moment you've been waiting for, I wanted to tell you about the Sell Trade program at Noble Knight Games. Now as gamers, we all have games that are cluttering our shelves that we either don't have the right group for or might even not like it. Well, now you can turn those unappreciated games into cash or store credit. Noble Knight Games buys thousands of games and gaming products. It's easy to send them a list of the games that you'd like to sell or trade. Now they'll send you a quote and even pay for the shipping of the games. Get treated and paid like royalty while you sit back and collect cash or store credit. To get started, click the link in the description of this video or in that upper right corner there, and then click the Sell Trade button. In 12 rivers, you're going to be collecting pearls and you're going to be placing them on your alpaca. And at the end of the round, you're going to be able to move these pearls onto cards to fulfill different goals. Like this one needs a white, a pink, and 2 blue. And now you've been able to fill this tile. Now this one has a goal where each full tile of pearls like this is going to get you 3 points at the end of the game. Now you didn't have to fill this in order to trigger this bonus. This type of bonus happens whenever. But now I'm going to be trying to fill other cards. And over the course of the game, you're going to be getting more of these village tiles. Like this one says, each blue pearl's worth an additional point. And that happens even if you don't fill this card. So this one actually gets me 2 extra points because I've got 2 blues on there. This allows you to put wild pearls on here, but if you have different colors, all the different colors, you'll get 6 points. So all different ways to sort of combo together different types of village tiles. And there are many different types of village tiles, and here's a look at some of them up close. But you might not always want to move your pearls at the end of the round to your village tiles because there's alpaca goals. And these are for everyone. These are sort of races. So the first one to get 3 on their alpaca can get this. They'll get this, and all these are worth 4 points. Now you'll notice the white one, those ones actually have less that you need because there's less of them in the game and they're more valuable. So it's also a little bit of resource management of deciding which ones you're going to hold because you can only hold a certain amount, which ones you're going to be trying to hold longer to get these, and which ones you're going to be placing on the villagers to trigger powers and such. But you're also trying to get those pearls to those village tiles because at the end of the game, each of those pearls are going to be worth a certain amount of points depending on the color of them. And as you can imagine, white is the most rare and green is the most plentiful. So how do you facilitate all this? Well, it's a worker placement with watching some pearls go down the 12 different rivers. Now, there's a turn order that's set up so that each player is going to have 3 turns each of the 5 rounds in the game. And this beautiful board, it's sort of a foam board but has great art on it, holds all the pearls. Now you don't play with all of them for each player count. You use essentially like a certain amount of these pearls depending on how many players are in the game. This is a full 4-player game. But you'll notice that there's little slots in a lot of these spaces. That's because on your turn you're going to take your piece and you're going to slot it in one of those. Now some spaces that you place them in, like this, don't cost you any cards to do so. Some of them might actually gain you cards. And some of the places way up in the river, meaning you're going to get a better, earlier choice of which pearl to grab, is going to cost you more cards, like 2 or 3. Now you do start the game with some cards, but there's 5 different camp cards of these. And as I just showed, sometimes you're going to be spending these cards or gaining them depending on where on the river you place your piece. However, you can spend 2 of the same of these in order to use its ability, which allows you to do all sorts of different things to sort of break the rules of the game. Like changing your place in turn order, or maybe moving another piece of yours on the board somewhere else. And so once all players have placed all their pieces, it might look something like this. And then you're going to pull the gate out and watch all the pearls fall down. And then going left to right, top to bottom, players get to select which pearl they want, assuming they have one of their pieces there. And the first player to take is going to basically be the last player to go next round. Now, if you take a pearl from a spot that has fairy tokens, you get to take all of those. And these can be spent to also do little things to break rules of the game to give you some advantages. And you might even have placed one of your workers down here at the bottom to get the ones that are left over, not only from previous rounds, but also possibly this round too. There's also some places you could go that cost you some cards, maybe none, that allow you to get more of those village tiles. because there's a display of those different village tiles out that you'll be able to sort of draft from and take and sort of build your strategy as to which tiles you want, which colors you're going to want to get, and what ways you're going to want to score at the end of the game. And whoever has the most points at the end of the 5 rounds is the winner. Before I get to the moment you've been waiting for, I wanted to let you know that Game Toppers is giving 15% off premium game mats and accessories specifically to my US and Canada audience using code GameBoyGeek15 off for a limited time only. Hear more about this at the end of my final thoughts. All right, first let me tell you what I liked about the game. The game's got beautiful production. The art just looks so nice. The board functionality, how it's sort of a foam-based board but has still a nice look to the top of it, but allows you to really put the pieces in there well. The wooden pieces that you're placing in there fit nice. So overall, great production. This is a great mix of strategy with player interaction because you're trying to figure out what to do, but everything someone else does can affect what you do, of where you're going, where are they going. If they go to some spot first, you could look at their board, you could look at what colors they might want, and you might go, you know what, I could go there after them and it's okay because they're probably going to take the marble that I don't want. Or that I, so that I can take the one that I do want. So again, there's lots of interaction in this game, which is great. Now you can't do everything, but you always have many choices. You always want to do a bunch of stuff. You've got 3 people per round to go put out, and you're like, well, I want to get this, I want to get that, I want to get that. But there's always, even if people go to places and sort of block you out, there's always many choices, even the bottom of the river to get some good things at the end, getting different villagers. So there's always good choices to make, even if you do end up getting blocked, which I like. I like the multi-use cards, so you can use them as sort of a currency to move yourself up on the river to get better, earlier choices, get the marbles that you really want, the pearls you really want. Or you can play them as pairs for the different abilities that help you do different things throughout the game. I like that the higher the river that you move to, the higher the cost of those cards. I like watching what others might want to collect and predict the flow of the river. So it's like, kind of like what I said before, is like, hey, if I go to the same spot as them, I can guess what they're going to get and I'll probably get what I want. But you might not want to pay the 2 cards to go there. You might want to go down here and go to the 0 card spot. And you got to go, okay, well, this is my last guy or my last woman, my last worker. And I'm going to put him here. And, ooh, okay, so that's going to come down. They're likely going to take that one. I'll take that one over here. This green one's probably going to be left over. I can go here and get it. I need that green one. So you can kind of look down and kind of predict what people might want to do. And that's kind of fun, too. The flexibility of your full alpaca and then sort of, keeping things or not. And you can even swap things with the river. So it's like you've got this flexibility of I've got all these spaces on my alpaca. Do I want to keep them here and not transfer them yet to my villagers, which means I have left spaces to hold things, but at the same time, you can try to go for those alpaca bonuses, so that's kind of good too. I like the scoring tiles because many of them you don't have to fulfill them specifically to get the points. Most of them are like, hey, 1 point per blue. Well, you don't need to finish that tile in order to get that to trigger. You just have to get the villager. And so you're sort of drafting them by placing the workers and getting the right ones. And those are refilling every round and such. But you're getting things and then you're kind of comboing together. It's like, oh, this one has a lot of blue on it. And, oh, I'll get this one that gets me 1 point for blue. And things like that. So I like the flexibility that you're gating tiles. Sometimes just for the goal. You're like, I have no interest in trying to fill that one up. I just wanted it for the goal. Because that one needs colors that another one wants that I really need to fill up and things like that. So I like the flexibility of that. It really makes it seem like you don't have to finish everything, which you couldn't. So I like that they sort of remove that restriction. It's very free-flowing. It doesn't feel restrictive. It doesn't feel like you're playing in a straitjacket. It feels very open. Because if they were like, yeah, you got to fill up everything to trigger every ability, I would have been like, it wouldn't have been nearly as fun. So I'm glad they made that choice. The turn order balancing. So the person that gets first is going to go last next round, that worker. And I like that. And I like that it scales well with player count. Sure, it's more fun to watch a 4-player game when all the pearls come down. But even a 2-player game, it scales well. It works. You're going to be getting the same sort of things. It's just there's less pearls each round that are possible that are going to come out. And I think it scales well, even though visually it's more appealing with more players. You do have more possible choices, right? Because with 3 players, sure, there's only a certain amount of choices that you have, but they're still scalable. So the 4-player game still is my favorite, but it scales well with 2 or 3 players as well. There's not a lot of negatives I have to say about this game, actually. The only one I can really think of is this game really, really, really needs like a scoring pad or one of these cool new AI-driven apps where you take a picture and it just scores it for you. But it needs a score pad because you've got all these different scoring tiles and all of them do different things and all of them score different ways. Would have been a lot better. But that's really the only negative thing I have to say. I think if you're looking for a mix of strategy and luck and having lots of interaction, have it be rather light, but at the same time still having things to think about. Now, a lot of people will ask, well, how does this compare to something like, Potion Explosion? And sure, they both use sort of marbles to do the set collection, but these games couldn't be more different in actually how you get them, what you do with them, and things like that. Sure, you're both getting marbles and putting them on little holes on tiles, but other than that, the games are very different. This one has a lot more interaction going on with like blocking other players or beating people out to things. Where Potion Explosion, yes, there's a middle thing that everyone is sort of going for, but then after that it's pretty much a total solo game. Where here it's like, yes, there is that solo puzzle, but I think there's more player interaction in this game than in Potion Explosion. With that being said, I do like the sort of comboing of Potion Explosion a little bit better, where you're pulling something out because that's going to explode, and then that explodes, and that explodes. Setting up for cool combos is amazing, and Potion Explosion, it's a great game as well. But this one, if you like that sort of idea of like the whole marble thing, just does something completely different by still having that tactile feel. So that's what I think about 12 Rivers. From the Game Boy Geek, breaking down barriers, growing relationships with board games, and helping you relax when you love.
Game Toppers upgrades every game you play, being the one table to rule them all with Game Toppers, leg kits, dining covers, premium game mats, and more. And for a limited time only, my US and Canadian audience can get 15% off their premium game mats and accessories using the promo code GameBoyGeek15OFF. Also, go to GameToppersLLC.com to check out all the options or for worldwide late pledges of their recent 5.0 Kickstarter.